Borderlands 3 has been in the news recently over something that they've been doing to some YouTuber, apparently. Is it a case of corporate espionage, or is it just a simple man trying to make his way in the universe? Here to discuss it with me today is Mr. Henry Cooper. My name's Gareth Evans. How you doing, Henry? Ready to get stuck in?
Ready to dig into this meaty one.
Ready to ruffle some feathers.
There's a lot of controversy here.
And hopefully not get struck down by the corporate people knocking on our door about espionage and stuff.
I mean, we've flirted with the Borderlands controversy many times, so why stop now?
Let's get stuck in.
All right. The YouTuber in question is a guy called SupMatto. I'm not entirely familiar with how you pronounce it. Borderlands dedicated channel. But the issue is that he's been copyright striked 7 times and had some private investigators sent to his house. That's all by 2K, the publishers behind the upcoming Borderlands 3.
He announced this in some update video, right? He went quiet for a while, and then he came out and said, the reason I've been quiet is because I had a couple of private investigators knock on my door, ask me questions about the content I've been making, thinking I've been breaking trade secrets or corporate espionage, whatever. And now I'm not making videos anymore. I've had 7 copyright strikes, even though 6 of them were taken back. This is the original story, right? It's developed since then. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Because we had this all prepared to do in our podcast, which we were recording yesterday, but then we decided to leave it for a bit just to watch it kind of grow a bit more. And I'm pretty glad we did, because otherwise we would have missed out on all this. And he's been very pro Borderlands, all about it, critical of them joining the Epic Store. So naturally, they've probably had him on their radar for that because, you know, they don't like bad press. But he's not stopped covering it. He's still into the game and still was going to buy it and everything. He's leaked stuff about Borderlands before and apparently has his own sources, and no one believed him in the Borderlands community. They were like, oh no, you're talking out your ass. But then all these leaks turned out to be right in the past. So he made this 9-minute video talking about a live stream for Borderlands that was publicly available, and I can't stress that enough. So the video begins with him kind of having a timeline of his events. So on Thursday, July the 25th, private investigators showed up at his home, and he said they were trespassing, they had no right to be there, and he says he probably shouldn't have spoken to them, but he did because he felt intimidated, and I'm sure anyone would be if 2 PIs show up. I mean, if they're there, they're going to be very professional, and they know how to get you to talk. We have methods of making you talk. This was because he discussed a live stream on his channel, and he spoke to them for 30 to 40 minutes about that. The live stream that they were talking about, that all started from April the 19th, when the Borderlands official YouTube channel posted that they were going to reveal some gameplay through a Twitch extension, and then in that gameplay itself is kind of like a trail of breadcrumbs. In that gameplay, they could then see private testing accounts from the people at Gearbox to, you know, stress test it and play the game and whatnot. You couldn't see what those accounts were showing, couldn't see what they were playing because it was all private, but you could still follow them. And then every now and then, the thumbnail for that Twitch account would rotate an update to something else that's being shown on the screen. So he wasn't the only one. A few other people were keeping track of this and seeing what new thumbnails came out and what information they could glean from it.
These suits knocked on his door because he was generating content that they didn't like. The content that they didn't like was copyrighted content, or like trade secrets as they seem to think it is, right? And he generated this content based on thumbnails on a Twitch account which was publicly accessible, which he found due to people posting on Reddit and posting other places. The username accounts of these Twitch accounts that were revealed in a trailer by Borderlands themselves or Gearbox themselves. So this information was put out there, how to find these accounts by Gearbox, and he followed the breadcrumbs like you said, and he found this information, and he made content based on thumbnails. He didn't even see the videos because they were private, right? If you like highlight over the thumbnails on Twitch, it'll scroll through what's actually in the video, and then he could see some like confidential things that were in the game. And that's all he's done wrong here, right? Let's not like get beat around the bush and think like he's hacked into some sort of security thing, or he's infiltrated something or other. That's also been reported. That's wrong. He did like that.
That's not what happened.
From our understanding, he says himself firsthand, it was publicly available. He didn't break any passwords. He didn't get into any accounts. He just found it because it was publicly available.
Followed the breadcrumbs. So he essentially made videos about what could be seen, and realistically, it's not going to be like you're seeing that much because, as you say, it's a thumbnail that rotates through with other little bits of imagery. But obviously, being a big Borderlands fan, there was enough there to generate content and be like, oh, I've spotted this new character doing this new thing in this thumbnail. He almost apologizes for what he's done because he's obviously feeling very, very threatened by these people. I totally understand that. And he says, excitement got the better of my judgment. And I understand why he would feel like that. But he shouldn't have to apologize for any of this because it's public. He hasn't done anything, in my opinion, he hasn't done anything wrong.
I'll just jump into some backstory with this. 2K have done this before.
Oh, yeah.
With modders, right? Apparently, there's a GTA mod called 5M and GTA MP. Development on those mods was ceased after Take-Two sent a couple of private investigators round. And a quote from at the time, which was was 2015, November the 10th, from one of the modders themselves. So I just got a pair of PRs at my door claiming to be sent by Take-Two, handing me a phone with a person somewhere in the UK or US or whatever to discuss how to cease my activities with regard to Grand Theft Auto. And he also goes on to say that he was threatened that they were going to bring in the lawyers. SupMatto didn't say anything like that about a phone call or about being threatened to bring in the lawyers, but you can assume that this kind of thing maybe happened to him too. That's my assumption, at least. And is this why he's going limp and not fighting back and then just saying that he's sorry or whatever? And because he doesn't want them to go down the legal route, and maybe he feels really threatened by that. You know, he's not mentioned that in his video at all, but maybe that's what happened, but he's not mentioning it.
Yeah, he's probably not going to be in a financial position to be able to fight a huge video game publisher like Take-Two. From July 26th, he received 7 copyright strikes, and at the time he published his video, and this has changed since, one of them still was up. The rest had been revoked because these were manual strikes, and then YouTube removed them. He doesn't quite know why they were removed, but one still stood, and it was due to expire in October, which would have been after the game actually launched. And by YouTube's terms, if you get 4 strikes in 3 months, the channel will be terminated. At that moment, it was still up, and currently still is, but that's in flux right now. His Discord server was deleted, and his account was destroyed 20 minutes after the PIs left. That was because, and this is the quote from them, "Your account was involved in selling, promoting, or distributing cheats, hacks, or cracked accounts," none of which are things he's done on his channel. And he believes this is just one of those automated emails that they send a placeholder and just, okay, you've been banned, here's a generic reason, and then we'll move on from it later. He sought legal advice from a lawyer, quite right, so then he knows his rights and what he can do legally. He shut down his Twitter account himself, and there was a bit of worry that they'd flagged that and blocked that and everything. He closed that himself because he didn't want to have to deal with it. And he's kind of gone on hiatus now to figure things out, where he stands legally and where he stands emotionally with regards to Borderlands as a whole, like, franchise.
As somebody who just generated Borderlands content on the regular, having this sort of experience where the game that you've been covering, you know, they send private investigators around, that's big, that's serious. If you're just a YouTuber generating content, that's intimidating, right? And that's we'll talk about the response to this on social media and stuff in a little while, but a lot of people aren't happy with what 2K are doing here, and you can imagine how intimidated he feels, essentially. Now, this whole thing's happening because as 2K see this as a threat. I think the whole response is, you know, it's not commensurate with what was actually done. Because if you think about, you know, from their perspective, this is corporate espionage, this is leaked information. If you think about maybe a different industry where you're developing a product where there's secret side with that product that you don't want anybody else to know about because your competitors might get hold of it, and you might lose out monetarily because this information getting out. In any other industry, it'd be termed corporate espionage. This is a game. Because this is a game, it's maybe lost on people that a little bit, where these big companies might lose money and this is the way they see it at the very least. I'm trying to put their case for them just so people kind of understand where they're coming from, because a lot of people have missed this in the coverage that I've seen. Not that I agree with it necessarily. Certainly. It's just that they see this as corporate espionage. They see this as trade secrets being taken. That's why they send the PIs, because this is serious stuff for them, and this could impact the amount of revenue that they make from this game or whatever. The ironic thing is that their response might be the thing that ends up damaging their profitability from this product, because people aren't happy with it. But anyway,
they've totally doubled down on what they've done and owned it.
Yeah, but this is their quote that they sent to The Verge anyway. Take-Two and 2K take the security and confidentiality of trade secrets very seriously. The action we've taken is the result of a 10-month investigation and a history of this creator profiting from breaking our policies, leaking confidential information about our product, and infringing our copyrights. This is the question, right? Something we haven't mentioned yet. 10-month investigation. He's been in an investigation for 10 months for leaking, because we know he has his sources. We've mentioned it already. He's had sources and he leaked information about the game previously, so he's been investigated for 10 months. Also, they say profiting from breaking our policies. So obviously, if someone's profiting off trade secrets in the corporate world, in the legal world, that isn't right. But this is a very specific case. I mean, if that's how it's seen by the judges and their courts and stuff, that's all it is, right? It's that simple. But this is just one YouTuber. It's just one guy making content. This is essentially, it's just journalism, isn't it?
Obviously, I don't know for sure, because I'm not this YouTuber. I don't know his experience with them in the past. But if they've done a 10-month investigation, couldn't you have just contacted him? Like, why have you waited 10 months, then send 2 PIs, and then flag so much of his content all of a sudden because he did one video that you're not happy with? This 10-month investigation shit sounds like bollocks to me. It sounds like they've maybe had an eye on him, but calling it an investigation is nonsense, in my opinion.
The fact remains that isn't this just him doing investigating and reporting the news or reporting stuff about a game? I know at what point does it cross from being just journalism into being espionage, into...
Yeah, because he's not cracked into their servers or accounts or any of their computers or anything. If he's got sources, there'll be people within 2K and within Gearbox. They're the ones leaking it. They're the ones doing the espionage, if they want to call it that.
But then again, does he have the lawyers to back that up in court?
Exactly, and can he afford that sort of thing if push comes to shove?
Exactly. 2K lawyers can maybe convince a judge of something that he won't be able to defend. You know, if they can convince the judge that he did do some hacking, he did access information.
If that did happen,
illegitimately, then he's in trouble. Maybe that's why he's scared. This is all conjecture on our part, obviously, but you know, there's a lot to this, obviously. Since the update that he posted, he's had dozens of his videos claimed by 2K for copyright infringement. Allegedly, 63 videos have been blocked.
That's
as
the number
reported.
that's floating around right now, 63.
Within a week, his channel may be terminated anyway. Yeah. So he might be out of the picture, and this will be a win for 2K, muscling him out of the equation, which is really sad, right? Because if you look at the video itself, he's got Borderlands posters, he's got like Borderlands figurines on his shelves and that. Like, he's a big Borderlands fan, and he's been making content on the game that he loves for years, and he's been muscled out and shut down by the people making the games that he loves.
And there's no fluff in the video at all. It's just like, this is where I'm stand. He doesn't shit talk them at all. He doesn't like accuse them of anything. He's just like, this is what's happened, not really comfortable with it, don't know what happens from here. It's just an update for his fans and the Borderlands community. This is just another, you hear it time and time again, this is another abuse of the copyright system, because really he's not breached anything. Well, they'll argue the whole corporate espionage thing. Most of what he's talking about is protected under fair use, because it's not just taking the content and repurposing it just to make money. He's adapting it, he's discussing it, he's, changing it. That's the core difference.
A lot of people are saying that this is an abuse of the YouTube system, and for me, it goes deeper than that. Right? We shouldn't be talking about what YouTube are doing and what they aren't, and whether his channel's been shut down. It's about whether he's right or wrong, or whether 2K are right and wrong, like accessing this information that they publicly put out there themselves.
The thing is, Gearbox have had, and 2K have had so much controversy recently, basically since Borderlands 3 was announced. Everyone got excited, new Borderlands, awesome. Then Epic Store exclusivity, that always rubs people the wrong way, understandably. Then Randy Pitchford doing seemingly everything in his power to make himself look like an arse. And then this
he doesn't try hard though.
I mean, come on, the shirts were enough, mate. Hold it back. And then there's this happening as well. Some of the people on Reddit highlight that as well. So there's Dunkelzahn 2050. At this point, Borderlands 3 couldn't have more red flags around it if it was surrounded by a core knight army. And I had to look that up, and that is apparently a Warhammer reference. I would have said perhaps the communist army or something like that. But the point still stands. They've had so many alarm bells going off. Then there's a Dragonfruit Duke who says, well, damn, if this doesn't cause an uproar in the gaming industry, I don't know what does at this point since Battlefront 2. There's been a number of controversies this year, but this could well be one up there with the loot box stuff with Battlefront last time.
I don't know. I mean, this has happened before with the modders, and it's just business to them, right?
To them, yeah.
To them, it's just business. To the gamers, this could kick up a lot of mud, that's for sure. 20,000 odd votes on the Reddit thread. A lot of people talking about this on Twitter. There's a lot of people saying a lot of things. Whether it'll have an impact on how well the game does is another matter yet to be seen.
Personally, my biggest takeaway from it, which is summed up in this YouTube comment, is that he's a fan, and he said he's not even sure if he's going to buy the game anymore because he's so burnt out on the whole thing, and like, why would you want to? So this is from Rogue Zero. The sad part that I find in the video is hearing how you've lost interest in Borderlands 3. You used to be super excited, and I'm sorry it was ruined for you. Really hope you come back, but if not, from everybody and myself, thank you for the Borderlands news and content over the years. That's because he's been doing this for years.
Yeah.
And obviously people are a big fan of him. He's quite a name in the Borderlands community, but now he's going on hiatus and may not ever come back.
He might have his channel deleted.
Exactly. It's sad. Even before it was his livelihood, his hobby is now being destroyed because of all this drama. It's such a shame. There's people as well talking everywhere about cancelling their pre-orders. So realistically, if it goes big enough, this could hurt their bottom line. So at Big Bad Wolf, due to the unlawful treatment of content creators like SupMatto by the developers behind Borderlands 3, I've cancelled my pre-order of Borderlands 3 Super Deluxe Edition. As a huge fan of the series since Borderlands 1, this situation deeply saddens me.
That's a perfect response in my eyes. They're not being toxic, they're not being entitled to anything, they're just making their voices known and then directing the message to the people who should hear it. Like,
and making a point with his purchasing decision, which is the ultimate power you have against these people. Not
being toxic about it, not being personal about it, just saying the reasons why he's cancelling it. I think it's a great comment. That's a template for how you should voice your criticisms of people, because a lot of people are criticizing them right now on Twitter, especially hashtag boycott Borderlands 3 began trending on Twitter. But unfortunately, the Borderlands Twitter account have been blocking people that are simply asking questions. Now, one Twitter user at wickedninja_123 tweeted the following: "Hey, so I asked them to explain why they did what they did to SupMatto, and I got blocked. I was going to wait for more news to develop before cancelling my pre-order, but if they're going to do this to somebody who's just asking for an explanation, then to hell with it." Again, another indication that a pre-order has been cancelled because of their behaviour more than anything. Nothing to do with the game. It's just they're behaving badly and they don't want to support it, which is the message we should be getting out there. You should be supporting your content creators. It's just my opinion, this, right? But he's gone about it in a way that displeases them, right? He's found some information that they didn't want to get out there. There's a better way to do it, considering he's a huge fan of the game, the franchise, the company. He's been generating content, generating hype. All the people who follow his channel are lovers of the franchise too. They just take him out. It just seems like so overkill, a ridiculous situation for me. You should be embracing content creators and trying to engage with them.
Yeah.
If the first bit of discussion that you have with them is sending 2 private investigators round to his house, there's something wrong there. It's gone mad.
And so many other YouTubers and content creators have been calling this out. We've been talking about it. People like The Quartering and Legacy Killer have been talking about it. Then there's people like Keemstar, who's the YouTuber behind Drama Alert, who have 5 million subscribers. He's come out on Twitter and said, "You sent private investigators to YouTubers' homes to intimidate them because of them talking about leaks at Borderlands. Have you all gone mad?"
Yeah.
So if bigger content creators are getting on this, it's probably going to go even further.
Keemstar, it's a huge YouTuber.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's a huge following. Does all the news and all the drama and stuff. My question is, if this was just a journalist who'd followed these breadcrumbs and reported it, would the same action be taken?
Well, I feel like then they'd have to fight whatever outlet they're in. So if Jason Schreier did it, they'd have to fight Kotaku as a whole brand. But this is just one guy who realistically runs a business just from his house. You can call him a small business owner more than just a content creator, and they can attack him because he's not going to have the financial power to fight back, really. And any time Borderlands 3 Twitter are posting anything, everyone's jumping on this like, what about SupMatto? So people are mad, and I totally get it, and I'm totally on board with them.
Well, that's the question, and we'll leave it up there. I mean, you kind of glean from how we've been talking about this, how we feel about it, but we feel it's totally overkill for just one content creator who has been supporting the game and the franchise in general. All right, he might have had critical words to say, but this is just totally out of proportion to what was happening. So that's how we feel about it. But is it corporate espionage? No, legally, I mean, maybe they've got a case for that, but morally, are they doing the right thing or not? I don't know. That's the question we'll leave to you. Let us know all your thoughts and feelings down in the comments below. So that's all we've got to discuss for today. On behalf of Henry and I, we will see you again in the next video. Until then, bye for now.